But we are into our first champ select, so let's see where we're going to go for our last match of the evening. Waterley on the blue side for game one, Royal Club over on the red. Fizz and Thresh actually the first two bans from Waterley, and Lysandra Cassidy there for Royal Club.
Yeah, I would not be surprised if this is a Janna ban, just taking away a lot of Zero's champion pool. And Korn, Fizz, you can't give it to him. It's just too strong.
Yeah, it's true. We didn't see it a whole lot from him in the World Championships. He played a lot of Orianna, but he's starting to play more of those assassins. Obviously, that will change as we shift patches probably as well, but right now on 4.21, Fizz still very strong, and Korn had a great Fizz game yesterday, so last ban is now there from Waterley, and Royal Club can maybe look at the Janna if they want to ban that themselves.
Yeah, maybe try and get that one off the board. Zero does play it very well, so I wouldn't be surprised if they left it up. Interesting ban. Kohler, of course, in the top lane is a beast. Can pick it up very, very easily, but plays a lot of other things as well. The Aurelia, the Jax that can come through. So I don't necessarily think it's a fantastic ban coming through there.
Yeah, Rek'Sai, the last ban there as well for Royal. So Waterley going to get the Jarvan instantly there for a Spirit, which is exactly what we said. That's the winning formula.
Yeah, it's
part of it.
Yeah, it certainly is. But this will be a Janna probably. Oh, actually, maybe Kalista will come through. I'll be more... I think it might be a Lee Sin just to get the double disengage coming through, and I know that they like running that a lot, and it really gives them control over mid-game objectives.
Insec is pandering to some of the fans there potentially, but John is already locked in for Zero, so we can't talk about that. He's a fantastic support player, you know, kind of played with Uzi all throughout the last season, and now looking good. I mean, he's probably waiting for Nome to come and finally complete that lane, but on his own, Zero's been playing fantastically as well.
Yeah, Zero likes to joke around that he's the best reactionary support in the world because he just had to follow Uzi for a year and really keep that guy safe. He's kind of doing the same thing now, but being a lot more proactive in the role. We get to see him make a lot more plays than we were last year. And his vision control is just second to none.
Yeah, it's really strong. And I like this pickup as well for Royal. Corky's actually there for Well, who's the new AD carry player that's coming here for Royal. So HRO was playing. He had some pretty strong games also on Corky. Nami, again, still not here yet. So Well, he actually played very well yesterday. I realized I was doing that as it came.
Yeah, no, he's definitely had some good performances. But I think that what we'll see here is they actually hovered Zed for a little bit. So getting that Corky in the mid lane means that you don't necessarily have to have that much magic damage left around the map for it to work out if you go with an AD mid laner. And wow, on the other side, Spirit and Ninja have locked in Braum and Rumble, and that is a massive AoE composition already.
Waterley picking very quickly for those second and third picks as well. So we'll see what they can get done here. We've seen a lot of Rumble comps have issues when they don't have a good front line. Spirit can sort of provide that, but from the jungle going to be a bit squishy. So we'll see what happens here. Royal Club going to consider a few more of their picks as well.
Yeah, it definitely looks like it. And we touched on the pregame how well Spirit is playing this Jarvan. Now we know it is going into the jungle. I'm extremely excited to see whether he can make the same impact that he's been hoping for. But this is exactly what I expected out of Royal Club. This is such a Royal Club composition. They can engage at will, but have the tools to disengage. Because if any team maybe goes overzealous every now and again, it is definitely Royal Club. So having that off button on both Insec as well as Zero will help that.
Yeah, and so Marco at least in the two picks there, of course, great champion for Kohler, and of course the signature champion there for Insec. And you're right, Insec is definitely... I said polarizing. That's probably the best way to describe his first 3 weeks of LPL.
Yeah, it certainly is. And if he can get things done, he... generally will try and jump into the middle of a team. So definitely not afraid to pull the trigger on that. STYZ, it's kind of funny because both these champions being hovered right now are his champions. Looks like he will decide on the Ezreal, and he had some terrific games, particularly around the Demacia Cup where he went off on Ezreal.
Yeah, STYZ actually came into this tournament looking incredible moving into LPL and just has not been on form since then. We have Ezreal Xerath to round out the pick, so an STYZ champion, like you said, and a big champion there in the mid as well.
Yeah, but a huge magic dealing composition coming out of World Elite here. A lot of Wombo, so they need to be able to execute this extremely well. There's a lot of pressure now on Spirit as well as Ninja to really get their spells overlapping and do enough upfront bursts that STYZ can clean up these fights, because Ezreal, not known as the highest damage AD carry, and won't probably go that crit build. More seeing the blue build come out of Ez, so that's a definite high skill cap composition to pull off.
Yeah, very slow and very space control there as well. The last pick, of course, LeBlanc actually for Korn. So playing a lot more Assassins this weekend, it seems like.
Yeah, he certainly is, and I like the Assassin pickup here because the team comp that comes out of World Elite depends on every single one of their member being able to do their job in a team fight. And if you get a LeBlanc fed like we saw last game, you can just take one person off the map and the team fight falls apart.
Yeah, and you said it before, execution heavy is World Elite's comp here. I mean, Spirit can maybe get things snowballing a lot actually on his shoulders here to make the right moves early, keep the vision up, and of course initiate and disengage when when he needs to. So communication from World Elite has not been the best, especially when the games are even or especially when they're behind. So with this sort of comp, it's very risky, but very high reward if you can pull it off properly.
Yeah, it certainly is. The one thing I will say about Royal Club's composition is Corki is great as a flex pick if you want to run AD, but kind of bad if you play AP, mid and top. And that is exactly what Royal Club's elected into. So probably see the Blade of the Ruined King's second item into the Infinity Edge, that really expensive build that we see, but he's going to have to do some work as the AD carry to get this going.
Yeah, it's a little snowbally as well, it almost feels like me. Royal Club just trying to win the early and mid game here, but let's find out what happens. And welcome back onto the Rift for the second last time tonight here. World Elite going to take on Super Hot Royal Club in their first game of the day 2 here. World Elite on the blue side, of course. Royal over on the red.
Yeah, it certainly looks like we're having a little bit of a standard start as well, which is very strange out of Royal Club. They're one of the few teams that still like to group up as a unit and kind of push in and get some early vision, but it looks like they're content with standard lanes this time around.
Yeah, I mean, the lanes here seem reasonable for everyone, as we actually do see a lot of people clumping up.
That was a really cute move there from Corny. He actually hopped over the wall at the Dragon Pit to get a very deep ward in without being spotted.
Oh, nice. You can see that just hanging out near the Krugs is going to give a lot of early vision there for Royal. So Corn, very clever little play at level 1.
Yeah, a lot of damage also going down into the bottom lane, but now it looks like we've just reset and everything will go standard.
Yep. I mean, again, these lanes seem absolutely fine. STYZ actually a little low, but will make it back to base in time. Doesn't have any extra gold to maybe get a spare potion, but he'll walk back to lane view, feeling safe and be able to meet his creep wave for the first set.
Yeah, it definitely will be. Jungler's actually starting on opposite sides of the map. Insec is pinging out that he wants to start his Gromp. That means that there won't be an early level 2 for Starhorn Royal Club's bottom lane. Well, we'll have to go down there level 1, just look to shove against STYZ. This is the one thing about Ezreal that I find very interesting is that he doesn't push well at all at the start of the game. So taking into a Corki matchup, definitely tricky.
Yeah, very ultimate reliant there in that respect. So we'll see what he can get done. Ezreal's certainly reasonable in a lot of lanes, and we are going to break out in the standard lanes finally. Looks like that ward could have spotted a lane swap there from Royal Club, but they're happy to take the 2v2. Insect going to start Grump into blue, and it seems like Spirit's going to do the same.
Yeah, and this ward actually gave them information that STYZ and UJ are doing that. So now in the bottom lane, they'll just be able to send a tornado through that wave or get the E going and really auto-attack that out, and it mitigates a lot of the early experience lead that World Elite would have got otherwise.
Yeah, we'll have to see how they handle that lane. Seems like they're already trying to get it down pretty quickly here. Ninja as well up against Korn. Just going to move in there to the mid lane, which will be pretty explosive potentially. We saw Cools LeBlanc in the last game. We'll see what Korn can get done here on that particular champion. And kind of the Rumble versus Maokai, pretty interesting, but pretty safe for both of them here.
Yeah, Maokai got the early level 2 because he did manage to take away the little wraiths, the little raptors, sorry, in the new camp. So was able to push a little bit, but now Luca's evened that one up. And it's such a back and forth lane. It really is volatile. Depends on jungle ganks coming through because, of course, the raw damage that comes out of Rumble just so superior. But CC, if you're a jungler, you love ganking for a Maokai.
Yep, usually they're going to get knocked out by the tornado, but a good unbreakable just going to stop some of that damage coming in. But Corki playing a bit aggressive here in lane, kind of what you expect against Ezreal, and Insec is going to get frisky early on here as Lee Sin walking in towards the red side of World Elite's jungle. In fact, he's just going down the bottom lane.
Yeah, just wants the early gank. They called out where the ward is, and Insec is in behind them.
They're going to go in the tornado just wide, but UJ could be in trouble. They are going to go in. Good ward hop there from Insec, and the damage actually coming in. They might have enough here. Insec doesn't follow in for the rest of the queue, but UJ will be forced to back.
Yeah, and that's a very early back coming out of Braum. That's going to hurt him not only in experience, it means that his jungler will have to go down there to help STYZ farm out this lane.
Yeah, I mean, Spirit camping is not the worst thing ever, but you're right, it is going to waste some of Spirit's time, and pretty unlikely that they'll be able to get a kill here. Spirit might try for some pressure, like Insect did, just to try and get them off some of the minion waves, but in general, it's going to be fine here for Royal. They'll take the early trade. Yeah,
there are so many caster minions. If Spirit went in there, it would be absolute suicide. And being able to force Jarvan into a lane early is so key.
Yeah, Zero actually going to face check. In fact, I think he knows he's there. Just went in for the auto attack. Must have been A moving through the brush. And Spirit going to stick down here for a little while longer. Royal Club, no trinkets available, so can't like effectively ward that spot. They're going to hug the far left of their lane now.
Yeah, that was very well played by Spirit there. He actually got the lane frozen in a good spot for STYZ. And now that Braum has rejoined, we'll be able to pick up a lot of that experience that he would have otherwise missed out of. So pretty well played by World Elite's bottom lane.
Yeah, and Spirit kind of doing what he needs to do for his team early on as well. UJ does return, like you mentioned, to the bottom lane. And we'll consider things all kind of square here in the bottom lane as well. But I have to say, from Insect's early pressure, I love that. But very funny to see him not go in on that Q.
Yeah, very un-Insect-esque.
Yeah, it was a measured play from Insect. It's not normally the word we have to describe that player.
Yeah, it certainly is not, and we mentioned how polarizing he can be. Maybe just looking to put some early pressure down. Wouldn't be surprised if he visits top after this to just see, poke his head around the map, and wow, Kohler is doing so well in CS so far.
Yeah, I mean, Mako versus Rumble, as you said, very volatile, very complicated matchup. Rumble matchups almost always are because of how Flame Spitter and Heat Power Spikes work, but if you play it correctly, Kohler's got a really solid lead here in that Doran's ring, just making things very breezy up towards the top side.
Yeah, it certainly is. Good vision coming out of Spirit as he took a little bit of a trip through the jungle. I think he was spotted by a ward, however, so they might know where that pink is. He is behind bottom lane.
Yeah, it does use the Raptor Sense buff there. Finds the ward, actually, so going to get a good amount of vision cleared away there. So making good use of that buff there, smiting away the big Raptor. And again, if he wants to return to the bottom lane now for a gank, well and Zero push pretty far forward.
Yeah, so they're doing a pretty good job early World Elite of controlling the map. We've criticized them for, I guess, the inconsistencies throughout their play, but look like they're shored up this early game nicely, with the exception of top lane going very even across the board.
Yeah, Luca just finally now catching up in CS again, the very back and forth top lane here in Spirit. We said it on Java, and he looks his most comfortable, and that's definitely demonstrated here. Getting good vision for his team, keeping all the lanes in check, making sure he's checking in, and they'll just farm through to the mid game quite happily.
Yeah, Insect once again returning bottom lane. I like the jungle pickup with the Trailblazer from Spirit, looking to farm up a Storm, have that healthy mix of being able to gank and also, I guess, being able to get into farm his jungle.
Insect being very patient here as well, wants STYZ to commit to an aggressive arcane shift, but Ezreal playing very safe there against the Gatling gun of Corki, and Insect will actually stay down here and maybe try and bait something out again. He doesn't really want to dodge in further from the brush. He can't with the waves broken there as well. Insect's actually wasted a lot of time in that gank, and it did fail.
Yeah, he certainly did. He cleared out the bottom half of his jungle, however, so there wasn't really much for him to do, apart from maybe go back to this blue buff. I think that's what he's trying to do. Maybe he'll take away the Scuttle Crab, then donate that one over to Korn.
Yeah, totally fine to get that Scuttle Crab as well. Luca actually using his ulti, going aggressive on Kohler, but Kohler dodging out some of the damage there with Twisted Event. Spirit's up here as well, though, and that's going to force a flash out from Maokai. Again, Luca and Spirit, great pressure early on.
Yeah, it certainly was, and Kohler misread that play pretty poorly. Actually went in with a Twisted Advance. If a Rumble just drops an equalizer on you and he hasn't shopped, you can almost guarantee there's a jungler in your lane.
Yeah, that's true. If it's not aimed at the minion wave, you usually have a good bet that the jungler is on the way. And Corn deep pick up the pink ward for World Elite, so that will leave the top side of their jungle there leading in towards the Raptor camp. And Insect not quite level 6, but just leading through. Korn does have his ulti now as well, along with Ninja, so mid lane could start to get some pressure there. But it's been a very clean, very passive early game. And for me on World Elite side, if that's what they wanted, full credit to Spirit.
Yeah, I definitely agree. Spirit has got very good scaling lanes. Corki, especially early, is a hard lane for Ezreal to stand up in. To go equal across this board is phenomenal, especially when you look at how much pressure a LeBlanc puts out early, a Corki with a Janna puts out early. Really has done well to get his team through this rough patch, and now they're into, I guess, a level 7, level 8 mark across the board, and they're going to start scaling up nicely with those ultimates.
Yeah, going to look for that first dragon with a Lucas Rumble as well. Haunting Guy, has already been finished, and the blue buff will also get donated over to Ninja. So things, again, going pretty much according to plan for World Elite. Korn also got his blue buff as well, so we'll have that duel in the mid lane in a second. STYZ getting a little down here in the bottom lane, but CSing very well under turret with the help of Brom. And again, if this is their plan, everything going well for World Elite.
Yeah, and we say a lot about tier champions that they have very, very strange curves compared to other AD carries. Corki will hit a much earlier power spike just because of how Trinity Force works and being able to pick that one up. But once that transforms into a Mirror Mana, which generally coincides with your second item, that Iceborne Gauntlet, it can really throw you ahead in the lane. And he's been able to go back and pick up a Manamune outright. So all of his auto attacks are going to start stacking this up. This could be relatively early in the game.
Yeah, I mean, that's a good item purchase there. STYZ's done well to farm early on. And he'll have the Manamune ready to go. Curious to see if he does want to go for a Trinity Force. Still, there is an option you have, but from this point, most Ezreals tend to go for the Iceborne Gauntlet.
Yeah, we see the Trinity Force build out of mid Ezreal more nowadays, just because it, I guess, allows him a smoother power curve, but Iceborne Gauntlet just keeps you so safe, and the kind of team fight they're playing where it's a long, persistent Xerath and Rumble, Ezreal in there, I think that it would be the blue build that we see come out.
Yeah, I love the team fight control that World Elite can potentially have in their comp, but very high execution like we mentioned in the draft here. The first Dragon is very soon, by the way. We're approaching the 10-minute mark here in this game. Usually when the team starts to look at their first Dragon here, and World Elite definitely want to contest, especially if Luca can delay it for a couple of minutes and hit level 11. That's a big opportunity for World Elite.
Yeah, it certainly is, and credit to Aluka in this top lane. He's done very well. Wow.
Yeah, well, actually going very deep in there. Zero going to knock him up. That's a good slow as well. A great mini stun with the Monsoon, and STYZ going to get first blooded by Well.
Yeah, what a play coming out of Zero. We say how this guy has turned into a catalyst for his team. No longer having to, I guess, protect that puppy, going very aggressive there in the bottom lane, picking up a kill for his AD.
Yeah, and Zero, one of the few players, I guess one of the Korean supports as well in China that really loves to playmake on Janna, which is kind of a weird champion to playmake on, as Aluka is going to get dived on by Coldus. Insec is here as well, but Aluka knows what's up. He's going to stay safe around his turret.
Yeah, and Rumble actually pushes very poorly even when he wants to push, so that lane probably won't equalize out, and Jarvan having a little bit of a visit bottom lane.
Yeah, Spirit does have his ultimate here. Actually, Insect snuck in here as well, so Aluka might be in a bit of trouble just popping the scrap shield for some heat. Kind of waiting here. Insect's like, yeah, I guess I'm going in. Going to ward up, kick you back. Calder locks him up there as well. A good arcane smash for a lot of CC. Aluka going to turn on the damage. Oh, Insect could be in trouble, but Calder finishes him off.
Yeah, got into the danger zone heating up there, and that Flame Spitter did so much damage. With two members so low, they need to be careful that World Elite don't rotate into this Dragon. A lot of pressure now on the bottom lane to force them off.
Yeah, UJ trying to get in there. STYZ wants to get aggressive. Zero will take 2 stacks of the Brawn Pest. There will get turned around now as well. Great skill shots actually from STYZ. Going to help repel this Corki and Janna back. And if they make enough room here, they'll be able to do the Dragon. In fact, Spirit wants a pick first as well. Dives in onto Zero, who just gets destroyed there by STYZ. Well, does not get tagged with the Winter's Bite, though. Oh, no, he did. Never mind. Braum in there for the auto. A good 3-man Arcane Smash from Kola. And UJ going to dive back in there as well. STYZ is already dead there as Korn is rotated in. And now UJ very low. The Zerathot's a little too far short there. But Aluka's come down. He's burning away Kola. Gets that kill. Now UJ going to take Korn there. Insect down as well. Misses the Q. Ninja's rotated in as well. And as the dust settles, a 3-for-1 for World Elite.
Yeah, World Elite came up huge there, but it could have been much worse. Korn played that picture perfectly. If he had have had anyone there from his team, would have been able to clean that up. Escapes with his life and a kill, but 2 kills to STYZ and a kill to Aluka. They'll take that as a trade, 3-for-1.
Yeah, Royal might take the Dragon for it though as well. And Royal would love to get their hands on the first Dragon here. It's very interesting how the next few Dragons are going to shake out. Seems like Royal will claim this first one as World Elite. Little too slow off the respawn to be able to take, to contest this at least, and that's good news. But again, both these comps have really weird power spikes. Royal, again, feels very mid-game focused.
Yeah, it certainly is a very mid-game snowball. As we take a look at this replay, Zero just goes way too aggressive with Well there, and they get caught out. Unfortunately, the teleport comes through very, very early for Kola, and Aluka just meets it. And if Ninja had have rotated at the same time as Korn, this would have been so much different, because there's so much damage coming out of this Rumble at the moment in the overheat with the auto attacks. And this is what I'm talking about. Korn chunks out one person, gets a kill, then chunks out Aluka, nearly picks up another one. Damages Spirit as well. He nearly soloed out 3 people in that fight. If he had someone that could just stick around a little bit longer, it would have been much different.
Yeah, Korn in trouble though again, actually getting very low there. Spirit flashes over for the last order, but Insect claims Ninja. So now the junglers will do battle here in the mid lane. A good slow from Spirit. Insect returns in kind with a Q, and the mid laners will trade.
Yeah, so they trade lives on mid laners. Spirit had the upgraded jungle item, is so cost effective. Just Insect not able to go toe-to-toe with him, so forces him away from the wave as well.
Yeah, Insect does have the Brutalizer. We've seen Kakao do this already as well, where he kind of picks up the double Brutalizer with the Warrior and Champ plus the quick Brutalizer. So that will make Insect do quite a lot of early game damage, but that will taper off quickly once we move through that point.
Yeah, it certainly will. And Insect just looking to clean out wards now. Has to secure this blue buff for his mid lane. And Morel and Omicron finished off on both sides, so once again, Xerath's not really respecting the double AP comp that is coming out of Starhorn Royal Club.
No, I mean, Ninja probably feels pretty safe with the range Xerath, so wants to take, the slightly more effective, slightly greedier item, I guess. But you're right, if Korn ever gets on top of him, he might regret not having an Athenes.
Yeah, and Maokai does a surprising amount of damage if you don't have magic resist. Tapers off very quickly if you pick up any magic resist, because he doesn't really go that pen build, but if not, you can get really surprisingly damaged, especially from that W.
Yeah, would definitely expect a quick lock at there for Spirit if that's the case. So we'll see if that's what he wants to do with his jungle item here. As the game sort of set it up, though, equal on kills there. Actually, good tornado again by Zero. Who's going to get some harassment, but a nice unbreakable for UJ to keep things safe there in the bottom. But equal on kills at 4-4. Only about 1,000 gold ahead for Royal Club.
Yeah, and Aluka in this top lane, still farming up a Storm. Has fallen a little bit behind, but with those double pen items, he would be extremely happy with how this early game has gone so far. With Korn, wow, putting on a clinic.
Yeah, really nice CSing. The Ninja tried to tag him with the stun after Distortion, which was adorable, but couldn't get it done. Sweeping Lens will clear out the vision in the mid as well. And these two mid laners have actually been going pretty much at it tooth and nail here in the mid lane. Very close to 130 CS each.
Yeah, they certainly have, and it's interesting to see what the junglers have done to try and augment that. Insect just repetitively visiting with wards, with the sweeper, trying to keep the area as free as possible to allow the 1v1 to go down there. And Spirit wants to get in there, make it a 2v1 and gank this LeBlanc.
I think I might have missed in a Brutalizer, brother, because the Insect only just has the Warrior Enchant done, but it is done now as well. So we'll see if he wants to get even more aggressive with his build, but does have the early Sidestone that we expect here. Spirit, a little low econ on his build right now, does need to spend a bit more gold, but as you said, he's got that Trailblazer already done. He's clearing very efficiently now.
Yeah, he certainly is. He's got about 1,000 gold in his back pocket as well. Wouldn't be surprised if he goes into some quick Moby boots to get himself around the map. Insect is a big fan of the Hex Drinker build, and with the amount of AP damage coming out, I wouldn't be surprised to see him pick that up on his Lee Sin. He does like to go aggressive. However, Locket is such a valuable item against a Rumble Xerath composition.
Yeah, I think most importantly, although STYZ is actually falling pretty far behind on CS, and Well and Zero will group up here and get quite aggressive under this turret, the longer that they can delay Corky, just from backing at this point, because I think he has enough money for his Trinity Force, so it's very close if he doesn't. The longer they can delay that, the more time STYZ gets to stack up this tier, to stay in the lane, and get to the gauntlet that he really needs.
Yeah, definitely a good point coming through there. However, 30 CS is starting to become a bit of a problem. Well, it looks like he's got a free shop here as well, so we'll be able to get there. And the problem with Ezreal lanes is exactly this. Someone's just gone for a free shop, and you really don't have the tools unless you burn your ultimate to push this lane out and put equal pressure.
Yeah, and you can do that, but then you don't really have other tools if someone comes to gank you. Or it's hard for you to win a 1v1 or a 2v2 when you don't have your ulti because your passive's so important. So STYZ is going to have a hard time in this lane right now. Pickaxe is done and the Trinity Force gets completed for Corky.
And wow, Pickaxe actually coming through. I would very much shudder to think that is a Last Whisper. Maybe going for the IE as his second item. Maybe... And I actually, thinking about it, it's probably a good pickup because there's not really going to be that much health coming through from the members of World Elite. So Infinity Edge could really get some work done in this early mid game.
Yeah, we'll see what he does. He could have just had the goal for Uzi. Does that a lot in his AD carries. So he'll just buy whatever he can afford at the time. But Insect and Core now setting up a pretty sick turret dive here on poor old Ninja.
Yeah, I think they just recognize the Raptors up and trying to get a little bit of a kill through there, but they were spotted out by a very nice placed ward over the edge.
Yeah, Spirit coming in, able to save him there. Poke will come through, and Spirit looks like he'll secure his own Raptor for himself. Insect didn't have smite, so couldn't even check for a ward. There's STYZ. This is the problem that he's going to have, especially if Braum leaves his lane.
Yeah, he just gets bullied around so much. Now Insect's coming in there to clear out wards. They need to be so careful in this lane. There's just a massive spike coming through for Corky with that Trinity Force. And electing for that raw AD over the boots just means that he's going to do so much damage.
Yeah, that rocket narrowly misses there, but that would have really chunked at STYZ. Spirit actually trying to set up the gank here, but well, being very patient, not using his Valkyrie when he doesn't have to. He's got more than enough harass without it, and it's going to force STYZ back into his turret. They'll take it eventually as well.
Yeah, and they're baiting this extremely well because Insect's in there with Zero has been pinged out. So they're just going to brute force them off this turret.
Insect going to move in, could potentially flash kick someone, but going to be patient again. Corn in the mid, takes out Ninja there. And LeBlanc, whenever she's off screen, almost always manages to kill someone.
Yeah, she certainly does just so much damage at this point in the game with the needlessly large rod as well. Able to solo out with the ignite. Has to burn the flash as well, so would have been interesting to see what went down there. But in the end, a solo kill's a solo kill.
I mean, Xerath is kind of immobile. When he doesn't have his summoners, if you get caught by a LeBlanc spell, you're going to die very quickly when she pressures you. And Ninja are a great job at keeping the lane even and safe, but that's sort of Ninja's thing, and he's not gotten ahead here. Second Dragon now for Royal as well. Things are starting to look up for this team.
Yeah, it certainly has fallen Royal do this a lot to teams. They accelerate quickly through the early game, and they've been able to pick up a couple of dragons in the first turret for themselves. So now they've got a very big advantage. Deathcap coming out on Korn in the mid lane. Rod of Ages is stacking up nicely, and there's even more gold to spend across the board. So look for them to start grouping around objectives and using this Trinity Force Corki to push down turrets.
You saw in the gold, the 80 carry gold is very competitive in this game, which is great, but if SDYZ can't successfully navigate this power trough without falling too far behind here with the Western World Elite, then things are going to look very hard for World Elite. And the fact that they have a Rumble here who's been doing reasonably well in his lane and haven't been able to contest either dragon is a big problem.
Yeah, it certainly isn't. The bad thing is it's not Aluka's fault. He hasn't done anything wrong, just both times hasn't been able to even get down there for his team to be able to contest. So Ninja really needs to shore up that mid lane. And SDYZ, whilst he stopped a lot of the bleeding, now that he's picked up that gauntlet, needs to make sure he can make something happen.
Yeah, it's now time for Blue Ezreal to turn it up. His 2-item power spike's really strong as an AD carry, and it's so cost efficient as well. You can see him finishing both those items in just under 20 minutes. The transformation hasn't quite happened yet for the Man Immunity, but it can't be too far off at this point as Aluka continuing to see us out from under his turret.
Yeah, Aluka is doing a great job of keeping up in farm. Actually, in the bottom lane, SDYZ is only about halfway through to that upgrade, and 4 members coming through trying to push down this turret.
Yeah, 0-0 as well. Luke will actually use his ultimate there, but it's just trying to clear out the wave. Calder will happily tank it on this Maokai, and that's an odd trio to be pushing towers, but they take it out.
Yeah, and they had actually bought well into the top lane as well, and
just didn't need him.
Just didn't need him. I was actually looking for Korn to go aggressive there. Very good job from Ninja to cheat towards the side of his map where he knew he had numbers. STYZ will be able to take this turret in return. And now maybe, well, picked up the Sork boot. So I was going to say, now, because he didn't have them, would have been regretting it a little bit just because of that Iceborne Gauntlet. Gives a surprising amount of armor in the early game, but we'll be able to shred through a lot of that with the Gatling gun. Yep,
Spirit here as well. Actually, a really weird zone here by Royal. Korn actually going to go in onto Spirit. That's a good amount of damage on the job, and a great chain lands her zone. Insect's going to come and kicks him in the face for the kill and flashes out towards his team. UJ will miss the ulti there as well. Now well going to dive in there with the Valkyrie. Teleport did also come through for Cole, and that was a great kill by Korn.
Yeah, it certainly was. Nearly soloed him out. Insect goes in there to seal it up, and they're going to get a mid lane turret for it.
There's the Insect we know and love going straight in onto the queue. Actually locked out there is Aluka by Cola, and that could be the killer. Aluka very low on health, would not get away from the ignite there, and that's basically 2 kills for Cola, Korn, although Insect did get the first one.
Yeah, and there's just nothing this team can do. They haven't sufficiently leveled up to the point where they can fight these mid-game objectives. And when you take a mid-game team fighting composition like World Elite, having you fall behind early, it is just so hard to dig yourself out of these troughs.
And that was one of the weirdest things about the drops. STYZ, he gets blown up by Cola and Korn.
Yeah, and they should expect this because Starhorn Royal Club are running a 2 damage threat composition. So if they're going to win the game, they have to do it right now. So any resources they had, they're going to use to try and snowball an advantage.
And as a result, I love the pickup here from Korn, going for a very fast death cut, knowing that his job is just to deal as much damage as possible for as long as possible.
Yeah, definitely. And people, I guess, make a very good case for DFG on LeBlanc, but there is a lot of work that he needs to do that isn't single target. If he blows up one person, it's good, but he needs to be able to get the second rotation off, and Death Cap is just going to augment the second, third rotation of spells so much better.
Yeah, we've seen so many LeBlancs get aggressive with their Mimic Distortions, especially in recent memory, so that definitely augments that part of the damage. And, you know, DFG is a nice luxury item. It's good against hyper carries if you really need to single them out, but Korn right now very happy where he wants to be.
Yeah, it certainly is. And all of a sudden, this gold leader's got out to about 4,500 gold at only 22 minutes in. There's about 2 minutes on the Dragon. And World Elite, there's a lot of pressure to contest this one. We speak about the third Dragon, the movement speed, and how these pick comps with something like a Maokai that's looking to lock you up, how important they are. They rely on the third Dragon to really get you going. So World Elite, they need to make sure that they get good ward control. Teleport is down for Collar, so they need to push something now when he's not with his team.
Yeah, this would be a great time for World Elite to contest as well. They've got Deathcap done here on Ninja. STYC powering up, got to be close to the transformation now. And Azonia's just got done for Aluka. So if World Elite want to look for a fight, they've picked a very good time to do so.
Yeah, they certainly have. That Zonya's especially, I feel it's just so key. We'll be able to challenge the backline finally.
Spirit just got kicked by Insect, by the way, and looks like the Talisman's pop. They're going to go in here, get aggressive. The Spirit actually going in. Insect almost gets chunked out, but Wells able to get him. That's a great equalizer to cut Royal in half there, and Insect trying to dodge ultis. Does not dodge the last bolt, but is okay there with the Janna shield. And they'll reset a little bit here. There's already one kill onto Spirit, and World Elite still fighting with all of their poke.
Yeah, so they need to be careful here because this is the kind of team fight that Xerath and STYZ's Ezreal is going to love. So you see they win the team fight, they have to back away, and now WE might even get a mid turret.
And World Elite making very good use of the item pickups here, and their two big AP damage dealers here with Rumble and Xerath. You could see all the poke. Spirit did die, but he got so much damage onto a lot of them, set up for Ninja's ulti and the rest of his spells so well. And World Elite, if they get this turret, they're going to look like they're kind of bouncing back a little.
Yeah, and World Elite might not be able to grab it this time, but I guess the good news for them is that they still have the Jarvan Cataclysm and the Braum ultimate as well as Ez, so they didn't really use much to get that fight going.
Not at all. Here's S2S. He has to be careful. Does get slowed there by Janna, but Arcane shift out of the way. And World Elite maybe just looking at this Dragon now, feeling like, you know what? We have some ultis coming back up cool, and we can probably just poke you out here. And if you get low enough again, we're more than happy to take a Dragon.
Yeah, and Rumble ultimate's such a low cooldown now at level 11. That's nearly back up. STYZ actually went for the blue buff steal there with his ultimate, not able to pull it off, so that's on cooldown for a little bit.
Many, many wards being cleared out there as well, as both teams are really trying to contest for vision around the pit. World Elite made it there first, so they'll get the Scuttle Crab if they want it, but they're staying very tightly grouped here, trying to protect the vision that they do have around the Dragon area.
Yeah, and both teams just look hesitant to start anything, really respecting what the other team is bringing to the equation. There's so many weapons on World Elite at the moment, and you feel that a lot of pressure now on Korn and Collar to be able to single out a target and blow them up.
Yeah, Spirit again looking at the Scuttle Crab, but the rest of his team. Zero going to pop the Talisman. Collar going to dive in onto the back towards STYZ, and the damage just comes in, but Ezreal's fighting out. Ninja, though, getting low. Rumble actually killed LeBlanc. That's very important. Now Aluka getting low. Pops his Zoni as well. Picks up STYZ. UJ going low, but there's a double for Corki. Can make it more here as well, as he's still going in. And it's a bloodbath here in the Dragon Pit. 4 for 3 there in favor of World Elite.
Ninja came up massive, flashing over that wall, able to get all of his spells down, was completely unharassed throughout the whole fight. Fantastic job from World Elite to, I guess, win that one. I do not understand how Korn and Collar didn't blow up Ninja at the start of that fight. They went so deep into that Dragon Pit, and it looked like Zero might even be in some trouble.
Yeah,
now.
Spirit doesn't have Smite, by the way. So, Zero. Good Monsoon to keep him alive. Maybe Ninja not on a whole lot of mana. Pops the Tornado just to be safe. And Zero tried for the steal. Oh, the ult's coming through for Ezreal. I don't think it's quite going to catch Janna. And no, Zero did juke out of the way. And the support from Royal, as always, playing exceptionally.
Yeah, so in the end, a 3 for 4, and we'll have a look at the replay here. So they go very deep, and Korn and Collar both go into the back. It was actually onto STYZ, and Ninja able to flash the wall right here and get himself out of harm's way and just put down so much damage over that wall. That is absolutely ridiculous for a Xerath to be able to just sit at the back of a team fight. No one anywhere near him and just clean up.
Yeah, really smart use of the terrain there by World Elite. And that line combo as well, when they ran into the pit to dive on the carries, the Rumble plus the Rumble Equalizer was insane to lock them up as well. So really aware, very smart play from World Elite. We've talked about it. They've looked a lot more together this weekend.
Yeah, they certainly have, and that's a very well-coordinated team fight in a difficult situation. So they definitely look like they're getting it back together, and there are some big items now being finished up on both sides. Some much-needed magic resist coming out of Spirit's Jarvan. He's now picked up that Shroud, and more importantly, a Bloodthirster finished up for well.
Yeah, and Corki's getting strong, so I guess the answer was that the pickaxe was just an Uzi buy. He just wanted to spend the gold on it because he needed to be strong around that time of the game. And Corki's got, I guess this is the mid-game build when it comes to Corki builds.
Yeah, it certainly is, and it's a really big sieging build as well, because you get that Bloodthirster up, you're able to get a couple of Bloodthirster shield, you're able to get a couple of autos into the turret with that shield on, so it really does help you with your siege. Corki does lack a little bit of siege throughout the mid-game, so nice pick up there. Looks like he'll go for the last Whisper next.
Yeah, and that's a totally fine build here for Well, who has, again, played exceptionally so far when we've seen him on this weekend. As World Elite still trying to get some vision out in their own jungle here. Insect putting deep wards down as well. And Royal are starting to take over the mid-game a little bit. They've got the superior vision, especially in the bottom side of the jungle. But the gold lead being on the 5,000 is not too bad. And we've seen that World Elite are capable of winning team fights.
Yeah, and I'm just taking a look around the map. The only build I'm really questioning right now is Cola's build in the top lane. We see a lot of junglers at the moment loving that Frozen Heart for the cooldown reduction, but just not very much auto-attack-based champions coming out on World Elite's lineup, so maybe a little bit questionable. And I'm taking a look at the second item, and it looks like he wants to get as much CDR into his build as soon as possible. And Spirit Visage is good for that, but I just think Locket as a top laner is so underrated as of an item. If you're a Maokai, you get a group anyway. Locket gives you 20% CDR and such good team stats, so maybe you could have gone for a Randuin's into a Locket and accomplished the exact same amount of CDR, but just had so much better team fighting presence, able to dive onto the carry, slow them down, and use that Locket of the Iron Solari to really help his team out in these team fights.
We'll see, though. Cole pretty tanky still. Looks like a Spirit Wizard, like you mentioned, will be coming through. Rumble as well, also building in towards his Void stuff, so doing a lot of damage, actually, Luca. Has a pretty big impact on these fights, and Corn and Insect getting cute in the Baron. People actually all started up well, also going in, so the three-man sneaky Baron will be started. Insect is very low already.
Yeah, and there's no ward coverage whatsoever. They're actually getting their tank in there as well. Oh, the ultimate comes through.
Good ulti from Xerath. Ezreal will clip the last one as well, but the bolt's not quite in range to kill Insect. SDYZ actually does get the first kill with Baron helping out, but the Baron does go there to Royal, but Spirit gonna dive in on the back. Korn's got nowhere to go. That stun will miss there as well. Well, and Korn will get out of the pit. Cola will be forced to flash as well. One kill for the Baron. I think Royal will take it.
Yeah, they definitely will. That is an absolute steal for Royal Club. That's 2-for-1 Fridays nearly coming through there, and able to grab that this point in the game. It's only 30 minutes in. That's a huge win.
Very sneaky there. World Elite, though, will counter push now in towards the mid lane, so we're able to take out that turret for themselves and finally fell the outer ring. So a big open area of the map now right in the middle. Both these teams going to look for that third dragon especially. That movement is so helpful when the map is this open.
Yeah, it certainly is as well. STYZ also takes a blue buff away for himself. Nearly gets caught out though there. Needs to be careful of Korn. And the beautiful thing about that Baron, it was on a perfect time. Even if they had have lost a couple of more members and still got the Baron, the gold is definitely worth it at this point in the game. And they're still back up to fight for the dragon that's up in about a minute and a half.
Yeah, so really nice objective play there from Royal. And they've played, again, a pretty measured game here. Insect has not been nearly the crazy Lee Sin that we've used to seeing him. Korn is playing very well in and out of these team fights, weaving in. Kohler, of course, just doing his job as the big front line tank with well, outputting all of the damage. Yes, they do have a mid-game comp. They want to close the game out early, but they're just making sure they keep a lead and it keeps growing, even if it's a little slower than they might like. Insect actually going to catch Spirit. He gets kicked back in well. Going to do the damage, but UJ will dive in on top of him as well. The ulti will just miss. They're hitting onto only 0.
The collapse coming through. This is so bad for World Elite.
Yeah, Kohler going to dive in there. Korn over the top, almost burst Ninja from 100 to 0. And now the kills do come through. STYZ gets one there. UJ getting low as well. Now well fighting here out onto, I think that's someone dead in the dust here as World Elite just get 5-0'd.
Yeah, World Elite really had a brain fade there. They got completely flanked from every side. And when you have a Maokai that he went for a very personal build, as I already discussed, but he is an absolute monster at this point in the game. Korn blew everyone up there, able to pick up probably an inhibitor for this with those Baroned up minions.
Yeah, Baron minions helping so much. And, you know, Baron, more of a siege thing now, but still does give you personal combat stats as well. So Royal able to wipe the floor with World Elite in that team fight. That's going to break the base wide open. And we talked about the mid-game that Royal Club wanted. That was a perfect way to end it.
Yeah, that was... As I said, that was just, I think, World Elite really dropping the ball there. They probably didn't want to fight at that point. They're a controlled team fight. They want to fight with people in front of them so they can poke away and do a lot of consistent damage. Getting collapsed on by a LeBlanc and a really huge Maokai is not a great thing.
And I love the play from Insect as well. So smart to just kick really the only initiator into his team and just pressure him. He can't go back into your backline if he's that low. And Easy Dragon for Royal, although an attempt by Ninja to steal it, will go just slightly wide. And now close to 10,000 gold ahead for Royal Club.
Yeah, and the other thing that Insect did was he made them choose between having to dive past him into his team by joining up with his tank, or I guess, going into the LeBlanc, and they chose to try and cheat towards the LeBlanc side, which just meant that a massive Mimic Distortion came through, and there's just so much AoE damage at that point.
Yeah, and Well just has a bevy of items on Corki. 625, 300 plus CS, about 40 or 50 CS ahead of STYZ, who's had a bit of a rough game on this Ezreal, and the Bloodthirster lost to Trinity Force, and now an extra BF sword as well. All done here for the AD carry of Royal.
Yeah, actually looks like he might be going for a QSS or a Banshee's Veil next. Some defensive stat also coming through. But Bloodthirster finished up on Cola. Mid lane is absolutely massive as well. Korn's got that Abyssal Scepter across the board. Starhorn Royal Club are just probably the strongest that they're going to get all game.
Yeah, and that translates into the massive 9,000 gold lead they have as well. And all that's really left for them is a bit of pageantry and just to push down the last structures and break that nexus. But World Elite, they can maybe hold on. They've got decent wave crew, especially with the Xerath. But with objectives coming back up here in Royal, just really having so much pressure, SCYZ is farming pretty aggressively far forward. Has to be very careful.
Yeah, was able to dodge out. Very confident in his Ezreal play coming through there. Just trying to push this wave out. He needs the last Whisper, otherwise he cannot deal with Cola.
Yeah, he's working on it, but until that comes up, as you mentioned, Cola's just going to be unkillable for this Ezreal, who's not the tank buster AD carry. Grump just gets destroyed there as Cola picks up credit for that kill, and we'll take the gold away. And look at all the wards here on the top side of the map for Royal. They've swapped their wards over. STY's, he's got to be careful. Going to get dove in there. The E almost landing would have done a massive amount of damage. And Ezreal's going to get forced back towards his own base.
Yeah, and forces him to not be able to shot before he can go to that turret, and they're just continuing their siege down here. Look at that. Cola does not care about Xerath's damage, just sitting there tanking it in the face. With no penetration items coming through yet, Last Whisper just picked up. This is a bad time for World Elite.
Yeah, World Elite can't really defend this tier 2 turret, so Royal are going to look to push down more inhibitors and inhibitor turrets as well. They've already got the mid pushing. Super Creeps are well and truly on their way towards the Nexus turrets now as well. And World Elite have some pretty poor choices to make at this point.
Yeah, and they have to choose to send the Ezreal because no one else can really wave clear it, but then no one can touch this Maokai. So they're caught between a rock and a hard place, or more importantly, probably a tree and a hard place this time around, and they're going to have to give it up.
Yeah, I mean, they can't defend this turret here. Royal will just swoop in and take it away. Baron back in a minute 40 as well if they want to take that out. But Royal more than happy just to keep this pressure up. It's a bit of a slow siege. Cookie's good when on turrets when he can get there. Actually, they're going to start in and ult there, I think, from Zero, just trying to disperse the rest of World Elite. And they're going to reset here for a bit of poke. Good damage done there onto Well, but the Baron is done, sorry, but everyone on Royal is just so healthy.
Yeah, and they can shop whenever they want now as wow.
Yeah, Korn just moving in for some poke there. We see this a lot from the Blancs now as well, especially when they hit the level 16 for the rank 3 ulti. You can be very, very frugal, I guess, with the usage of your ultimate under tower.
Yeah, you certainly can. Poke still coming through from Xerath, but maybe not enough. That's another turret going to go down, and Cola's got the fight started.
Yeah, Spirit wants to go in. Zero's going to get dunked there, but a Cataclysm and a decent ult there from Aluka. UJ going to get low, and Korn will take him out. Ninja gets kicked back as well, and he will go down. Insect getting low. STYZ trying to fend them off, but he's just going to get eaten by all the damage, and Royal pick up 2 for 3 there. It's not what they exactly want here. Aluka, we're going to go down. He'll be the 4th kill as well, and that might just be enough here for Royal to close it out.
Yeah, it looks like they're trying to end the game. They are only going to have to go through Spirit, who might even get blown up.
Yeah, nothing for him to do. Too much damage on the LeBlanc and Corky. The towers will fall here. Royal will close out their first game here. And again, just looks so comfortable in this match.
Yeah, it just looks like they're able to take it slow, really push the advantage when they had it. And it was all about those mid-game team fights, just getting it started. Very, very, I guess, liberal use of the flashes to get those mid-game team fights going, but once they had that advantage, they weren't going to give it up.
And just so much control from Royal. They were very patient around objectives. They knew the fights that they wanted to look for and to group around, and they never really overextended, which is not normally what I say about Royal Club when they play.
Yeah, they definitely played that one smart, and even the Baron that they were able to sneak through, they actually tactically outplayed the World Elite lineup that we said if they got Jarvan, they had a very good chance.
And they did. The early game again from World Elite looked really good, but that comp was so hard for them to play, and especially when they started falling behind, they just didn't have a mid-game that they could be comfortable with. Because again, so hard to play Xerath, Rumble, Blue Ezreal.
Yeah, and 10-2 and 8, Korn in the mid lane. We mentioned how every single person in this comp kind of had a job, and if you remove one of those key components, it's not great. And he was just time and time again able to get that pick, get it started, get the flanks off, and really dictated the pace of the game. And when you've got a Jarvan Rumble ultimate combo, you want to dictate the pace of the game.
Yeah, we do have a replay from the last game as well, so we'll get into that and see just how Royal were able to just do so well here.
Yeah, so Insect here actually makes them choose to whether you want to go on me or my backline, and then the flank by this stage is just too strong. They actually cheat towards the LeBlanc, and look at the damage that comes out of here. Korn is just so disgustingly fed at this point in the game, able to chunk out 4 members pretty much by himself, and STYZ does a valiant effort in the back, actually takes out a kill for himself, but they just made them choose between so many poor decisions, and World Elite unfortunately weren't able to come out.
And I think World Elite, again, maybe a bit of a misdraft there. They picked very comfort champions for themselves, but a very greedy draft in terms of what it could accomplish. We saw Ninja, Aluka, and STYZ all on, and Spirit as well, actually, with the Jarvan, all on very comfy champions, but those champions didn't really mesh well together. When you can't defend your Ezreal, it's super awkward.
Yeah, I definitely agree. And it's almost like they were like, we got exactly what we want, and then looked across the rift and went, oh, but it's not going to work. So they definitely had a greedy draft phase. Didn't work out, but hey, next time it might.
Yeah, we'll see what happens, guys. It's going to be